All right, good morning. Welcome to the Sweet Talk. Today is Monday, April 8th, 2019. I am your host, Kim Matina, and I am a Google certified trainer and a gold product expert in the Google for Education, CS First, and Jamboard help forums. And I'm a technology teacher in case anybody wanted to know that as well. I am so happy to have on the show today Miss Pam Hubler. She is an instructional coach from South Carolina, and she also hosts the PD for You and Me Twitter chat on Saturday mornings at 8:30. She's a Wakelet ambassador, and she is a fellow Google certified trainer. So welcome to the show, Pam.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad to finally meet you. I follow you on Twitter and I read up on your stuff, and I'm glad that you took the time to be on. So I appreciate it.
Of course, same with you.
I was looking forward to our show today because I know you're a big fan of Wakelet, and I think one of your tweets back, I don't know when it was, inspired me to pursue the Wakelet path, and I created an account, and it was so easy to use, and I fell in love right away. So this show was something that I was really looking forward to learn about that and how you use Google Drawings and Wakelet and PottyPD. I have no idea what this is. So I'm going to let you take over and talk about what your PottyPD is.
Okay, there's a lot there. Yes, Wakelet is amazing. I actually found it originally. I don't even remember what I used to use to be able to archive Twitter chats. And that was the main reason why I looked for it. And then I found that to help, since I co-moderate PD for You and Me, I needed something to be able to archive that. So I found it then, and I was like, this is awesome. So I could use this for so many things. And so we started using that. And then the PottyPD part actually came from, I saw that on Twitter, and I actually have the book right here. I read it originally in Tara Martin's Be Real book. This is where I found it originally. She talks about that in her book. And so I decided just to add some, that's like the one time when you're in the bathroom to have some captive audience for some learning, just like they do in restaurants. And I actually have one right in front of me. So I put them in these little thingies, and I put them in the bathroom. So it gives you something to read. And I'll screen share in a minute so I can show you what it really looks like. But I create that in Google Drawings so that way it matches the information that's in my Wakelet.
Nice. Okay, I'm curious now.
Yeah. So where do you want me to start? Wakelet?
Well, nope. Start with your Google Drawings.
Okay. All right. So what I do is I use Google Drawings I do screenshots of different things just to get people interested. And sometimes it's based on what's going on in our school and just what I think the teachers might be interested in, or somebody may have asked me for something, and I'll find resources and put it that way. And I find, we get so many emails every day that I needed a different way to get the information to them. That's not a long email or something you have to go back and find. So I started using Google Drawings, and creating a newsletter in Google Drawings is so easy because you don't have to worry about any formatting. I mean, it's however you want it. All you have to do is make the page set up so that way it's like paper size. So when I print it, it prints perfectly. So
okay. So how often do you change your I guess your bulletin, your Google bulletin?
About once a month, depending on the time of year, like December, January. I think I did one in January, but then I didn't do one again until March. So it just depends on what's going on as far as how much or how busy the teachers are, and I may not want to overwhelm them, or a different season. So pretty much every month.
And then, so what type of information do you have on there?
Here, I can actually show you one. I'll screen share. Hang on. So that way you can see one of the things that I have. All right. Let's see, my last one. Let's do March.
And this is for elementary school, right?
It's actually, we're a K-8 school.
Okay.
So I kind of try and do it so that way it touches on all the grade levels, or at least general interest. So this is what it looks like. Can you see my screen?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me go back and screen share again. Try it one more time. There it goes. Okay, now it should be sharing.
Yep.
Okay, so this is basically what it looks like. And I keep this top kind of the same. I do have a QR code in case anyone does have their phone with them in the restroom, but I don't expect them to. So I also have a shortened URL. And I send it. We have a Google Classroom for the school. I share it that way. So I share it in lots of different places, put it in an email, so that way they can always get to the digital version, which is Wakelet. But then this is just kind of my teaser. Like here, this color code, we were trying to get to know each other. And even though we have a lot of the teachers that work here have been here for a while, this is one of those things that, because we're K-8, we're upstairs and downstairs. And it's kind of hard to get to know new people. So this color code is an interesting test. We're getting ready to do testing season, and TDA, or text dependent analysis, is something all the grades 3 through 8 have to do. We have Ozobots, and we just got Discovery Education. So these are all just kind of like teasers to get them to know, like, hey, if you look at the Wakelet, this stuff is all in there. There were some guided reading resources, some things I found on Twitter that were fun. We just got little bits, so I wanted them to know they were here. And we had some teachers looking for some things to do with the kids after testing that was really interesting. And I've used CS First before, so I added that there. So that just kind of gives them an idea of what that looks like. And
that's a really good idea. So this, what do you call it? Like a newsletter or a bulletin? What do you call it?
I guess I kind of, I just call it PottyPD, but I would call it kind of a newsletter. But I print them and I put them in all the restrooms. So no matter what hall you're on, you see that. And so it kind of just gives you a reminder, oh, I got to check that out. Even if it's just one thing that looks interesting to you, it gives you, then you go to the Wakelet and then you'll be able to find the resources that match that image.
So that newsletter is for students and for teachers.
Well, this one's pretty much just for teachers. I haven't done one with students yet. That I would like to show the teachers how to be able to do that, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, so as this is a teacher level.
Yes.
And then, okay. All right. Well, I really like that because it just gives them a different way of, you know, glancing at something. You kind of like putting it in their face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I know you're not going to do a lot when you're in the bathroom, but you see it. So
yeah, you see it. So, and then if they remember it to look, you know, to look at it when they get back to their desk, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But I like that. And then you email that out to them as well and put that in a Google Classroom for the teachers. Okay.
Yeah, and then my principal will also put it in her newsletter that she sends out every Monday. Just a link in there, so it always goes to it.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, and how I create that is just really, you know, I use Google Drawings, and I set in the page setup how you can change it to be. I just do 8.5 by 11, and then I have a blank slate, and I can just add anything to it.
Yeah, so you just put like text boxes, word art, images, or whatnot in there. Right. Nice. I like that. Very nice.
Just save it as a PDF so that way I can share it easily.
And then you have a Google Classroom for your staff to collaborate in?
The school does, yes.
Okay, and everybody joins that, and then people, do you see activity in there?
Not really. A lot of the teachers use it mainly to just go to resources. They haven't really used it much for communication back and forth yet. And we probably have 60-something teachers, including our special area and special ed. So we have a lot of teachers K through 8. So it's, you know, it's a wide range.
So to piggyback off of that, I also, being a technology teacher at my school, I also have a Google Classroom that I use as a platform to communicate with staff. But I agree. I think people use it more as a resource, and I create a GTMS ed tech tip presentation. So every week I send out, it's the same presentation, but it's an accumulative file. And I send out tips, 2, 3, 4 tips a week.
Yeah.
And it just accumulates in that file. And then I put that slide deck into the Google Classroom. And people look at it at their leisure. They know it's there. I email it to them as well. But it's just like you said, it's a resource. I don't see a lot of activity in classroom either. I just think people are like referring to it as needed, or when you have that extra 2 or 3 minutes, they'll go in there as well,
Right. Yeah. And I have a website, like just a coaching website that I created mainly because you know how all districts have like a portal or something to find resources, but it's not always the easiest to find things. So anything that I thought was that you would go to often, I would just add to my website. So that way the teachers can get to it easily. So a lot of them in the beginning of the year, they just bookmark that because they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than having to go look on the district website. So
yeah, exactly. I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad that we're like on the same page here with that. So then how do you, so my next question is, how do you, use Wakelet with all of this, this workflow?
Okay. Yeah. I use Wakelet as basically a place to gather all my resources. And I used to use Pinterest for that. But then once you get into Pinterest, it's like, oh my gosh, 4 hours later. So I wanted it a little bit more strategic as to how I share things. So I started using it that way. And like I said, I used it for Twitter chats to start with. But then once I realized that this is such a great way to curate your resources and share things on a topic or just make it a little easier, embed video, there's just so many things. And now Google Drive is even attached to it. So you can embed things straight from your Google Drive. I haven't tried that because that's a fairly new feature. But there's lots of options, and I can share my screen again so you can see what it looks like. When it comes to, I have one Wakelet collection that is basically a link to all my PottyPD collections. So that way, even if they can't remember which one had something in it, then they could just go to that one and kind of scroll through and be like, oh, it was this one. I remember this visual. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea because then at least it gives them another way of finding it.
Yes. Yeah. And I did that for the PottyPD or the PD for You and Me chat also. So that way, if you like link it to your website or something, then you can just see all of them no matter what. Just save that one bookmark and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
So I'll share my screen so you can see. This is what my public profile looks like in Wakelet. So you can see how there are categories. And like this is my PottyPD category, but I'll just scroll down so you can see like this is all the Twitter chats for the PD for You and Me. And then there's a bunch of, the individual ones and you can see more. Sometimes as I find things through Twitter, I'll just add it to my G Suite EDU. And there is actually an extension you can add. So that way, when you're on Twitter, you see a little W and you can literally just click on it and it adds right to the collection that you want, which is really nice.
And what type of resources can you add in there?
Really just about anything. And I'll show you that. Okay, so then here is my PottyPD for the entire school year. But then you can see these are my individual, and I just call it volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they pretty much look the same. And I'll use a screenshot of the image so that way it's easier to go back and like, oh yeah, I remember it was on this one.
Right.
So I'll click on this one so you can see. So this is my one for the school year. And most of my visuals, I do use Bitmoji a lot just because it makes it fun. And so then like this last one, sometimes I do add, this is obviously a tweet that I added. And then this is my volume 5. So if I click on that, it'll open that volume. That's the one when I came back from FETC, I did a summary of all the learning. Here's my January one. This was the second one I did, and this one's just my first one. So those are all of them. And as I create a new one, I just add it to the top. And I can show you what it looks like. Let's see. So let's say I'll open this one. All right. So if I edit this collection, I can, and I'll just show you this so that way you can see how easy it is. If I click the plus, I can see where I can paste a URL. I can add text. So if I want like a title, I can add a YouTube video, which is really nice because then the YouTube video just ends up embedded in it. So if you were sharing it with students or kids or students or teachers, it stays in there. It doesn't necessarily open. It doesn't have to open in YouTube. I mean, there are people that are starting to use this for hyperdocs or lesson plans. I mean, you can use it for just about anything. Tweets, you can, that'll go straight to Twitter. You can add by person. You can add by hashtag. I haven't used the bookmarks yet. You can add an image, PDF, and then this is new. They added Drive. So once your Drive is attached, you can actually search your Drive and add things to it.
That's nice.
Yes. And so then, and it's easy. You just add, you know, just click the little plus to add. You can reorder. You can change the view. And then really all you do, I have mine as public. So that way everyone can see it, but you do have options. You can have it unlisted or you can have it just private to you if you want your own private collections. And then I just click publish and exit, and it's just a live link basically.
I love it.
Yeah.
I totally love it. I'm telling you, when I created an account for it maybe it was like 2-3 months ago, I couldn't believe how easy it was.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you're able to like incorporate your bite-sized topics for staff and throw them in a Wakelet and then actually give more information about that topic in there. Like they can, you know, take it upon themselves to go and explore the different links that you have curated in there. But I totally love it. I ended up doing a Wakelet for my robotics club.
Uh-huh.
And for the microbits for my STEM classes that I teach. And I threw the link to the Wakelet board in Google Classroom, and it's there. It's a resource for them.
Right.
So, you know, whether the kids look at it or not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, middle school, you know, they're kind of like, you know, a whole nother creature, you know, sometimes. But it's there for them, basically, you know,
Right.
and for the students that want to go and explore those resources, it's there. So, you know, I couldn't believe how easy it was. And once I found out how easy it was, I was like on Twitter, like, I can't believe how easy
Yeah.
it is. It's awesome. And like, it's anybody could use it, you know?
Yeah.
Even the classroom teachers, like, you know, they can curate their websites or videos or even their Drive files. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
even a nice feature now.
Right.
To throw right in there. So, you know, there's no more attaching, you know, different files to different other resources. You have it all in there, you know.
Right.
I was really surprised how easy it was.
Yeah, it can give you a nice workflow also. Like if you give a PD and you just want to share your Wakelet link, then you can have everything in there. And then as I actually did a session for some new teachers just on technology, Google, that kind of thing. And as we were talking and somebody asked about something, I'm like, oh, wait, let me just add it to here. So I just kept adding it as we had conversations and they just kept one link. So it was kind of nice to just keep on adding and keep on adding. And I told them, keep that link. And, you know, if I find anything else that's useful, I'll just add it. And then if you wanted to, depending on what group you're working with, you could always let other people, because you can collaborate on them. So you could have more than one person working on the same Wakelet. So the collection, other people can add to it. And they don't even necessarily have to have an account to add to it. So you do, I think, to be able to edit. But yeah, so that I've seen, actually Matt Miller did that in one of his FET sessions. So that way he can get some collections from the people that were in the audience as far as like favorite tech tool or whatever. You can add links in there. So you can have multiple people adding to one, which is kind of nice.
So you just shared the Wakelet link out and then people just added their resources into it as well.
Yes.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. And
I really like that.
even as a teacher, like I'm thinking grade level teachers, if you had one where like sub plans. I did have a teacher ask me that, like, can I do this for sub plans? I said, yeah, definitely. You can start, with Monday and then put this, Tuesday, or, you could literally have the workflow all there. Kids can see it. All they have to be able to click on it. And there's really not a lot of sharing going on. You could just put one link in Google Classroom, since they all use that anyway. And then go to that and be like, yep, this is Monday. This is Tuesday. So it could be a sub plan. It could be really just newsletter to parents. I used to use S'more for a newsletter, and but if I was in the classroom, this is what I would use for my parents. And you can add videos. You can even add videos of your kids, or videos for kids to watch. HyperDocs. I mean, it could be that platform to use for HyperDoc if you really wanted to.
Yeah, that's a really great idea to use it as a HyperDoc. So, I mean, you've given us so many great resources and different ideas on how to use this tool, and I like the PottyPD. I really do.
Yeah, it is fun. And the Wakelet ambassadors, there's so many of them on Twitter that, I mean, if you just follow the hashtag Wakelet Wave, you can see a lot of the conversations and a lot of the people that you want to connect with, because they've got tons of ideas and everyone uses it in different ways.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to check that out, because, what I do when I give PD is I make an agenda, and then I just throw all of my links in the agenda document, and then, you just kind of add to it from there. But this, I think, is a little bit more, it steps it up a little bit,
right?
And it gives the attendees, the information in a visualized way,
right?
And it gives them, you can give them the option to curate in there as well. So I'm going to use this the next time, because I'm going to be training this summer. So I think I'm going to switch gears and use Wakelet in my training sessions, just because it's just easy, and it's a visualized tool,
right? Yeah. And the good thing is that instead, if you don't want to add your own images to it, you can search from a collection. So they have some really nice images on there that you can use, so you don't have to worry about creating your own.
Yeah, that's good to know as well. So yeah, because sometimes you're just in a rush and you just want to put it up there. So if it populates a default image or whatnot, that even makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. And I forgot, this is my Wakelet shirt. The humans are coming. So the robot is just kind of a fun little, their little logo.
Nice. Well, there you go. Supporting your resource, Wakelet. Well, thanks, Pam, for sharing your information and your resources today. I really appreciate it. And it definitely gave me a whole different, perspective on HyperDocs, as well as, using the restroom.
Yeah, right.
And it's nice to hear that, we're like-minded in certain ways with providing support to our teachers in schools, and trying to give them as much as we can on using different platforms as well. So it's always nice to hear that, just to kind of validate like what you're doing, that you're on the right path. You know what I mean? So it's always nice to hear that as well. So I appreciate you being on this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to wrap up the show. What I'm going to do right now is just share my screen real fast. And I guess you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you would like to check out the show, you can go to thesuitetalk.com. That's the SUITE talk.com. And my website will come up. And you can go over to the episode page, and you can check out Pam's episode by clicking on the YouTube link. And all of her information is in the show notes that is on my website. So you can contact her or follow her on Twitter, and she'll be happy to, help you if she can. You can also be a guest on my show by clicking on the guest page and fill out this form here, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Another thing is, if you would like, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, my newsletter, and I am also The Sweet Talk is also on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play Music as well. So you can listen to it on a podcast. And that is it. So let me go back to my friend Pam. Hold on, I'm getting there. Okay. So again, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has enjoyed the show and found it helpful. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you.